Journalists.
Yeah.
So it's a new term we have coined, prostitute, which is a combination of press and prostitute.
Yeah.
So people who are selling their souls, they're not concerned about truth, context, or objectivity. They are simply there to make money.
Since coming to the park, I've been coming to the park for a couple of months, yeah, and I've seen the same questions being asked over and over again.
Yes.
Would you? I spoke
And
to
these
Ali
are the people
Dawa.
I talked about earlier. People who are deliberately blind. They don't care about answers.
Yeah. So if the people keep on asking the same questions, I believe the questions haven't been answered yet. Hence why they keep on getting answered. Because if you were to answer them,
If you ask me a question,
yeah.
if you ask me a question, what color is sky, and I tell you it's blue,
Yeah.
and then you keep asking me the same question,
Yeah.
is there a problem with the answer or the questioner?
Yeah. I totally agree
Yeah,
with you. Totally
this is
agree
what
with
I'm
you.
saying.
So I'm not a very learned man.
I am not a very learned man either. I'm only a student.
What does jihad mean to you?
Struggle?
Struggle of the minds?
Different depending on situation and context.
Could it be a war as well?
It could be struggle with speaking, struggle with thinking, struggle with oppression, or
Not
struggle,
war.
struggle against oppression. And if a government chooses to struggle against oppression of another government, it can be called struggle of sword.
The sword. Yeah.
Yes,
That's what I'm saying.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So jihad means a number of things.
All of those
in
things.
a number of different
Not just.
situations.
It doesn't mean just war.
No, it doesn't mean just war. No.
All of the things
Yeah.
encompassing.
That's what Islamophobes would want you to think, that jihad.
No, I'm trying to get it clear for everyone, innit?
I'm sure people know about this. I'm sure this
A lot of people
this
don't.
question has been asked
Yeah,
a million
can I ask you a
times.
question?
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Why should I accept Islam over Christianity?
Can you talk a bit louder?
You don't have to accept Islam or
I'm
Christianity.
just what's the difference? Yeah. No, what would you say it's better in terms of, well, not
They want
better,
your
you know
volume
what I
to
mean?
go up.
Yeah, sorry, not better, but why would you say go for Islam rather than Christianity? It's not a
I can
trick
tell you
question.
why I'm a Muslim.
Okay. no.
Why I choose Islam over Christianity. I can't talk for other people.
No,
I choose Islam over Christianity because Islam is true. I believe it's true for a number of reasons. God exists. God sent prophets, and those prophets came with prophecies and revelations, and Prophet Muhammad is definitely one of them, among others, like Jesus, Moses, and Abraham, and all those prophets. And I believe Prophet Muhammad is definitely a true prophet of God. He's been foretold in the previous scriptures. His character, when we actually assess his history, he was a very upright, moral, kind, generous, compassionate man. Even in war, he was merciful. When he was being attacked, when he fought back, he had certain rules, even when he was defending his community against annihilation. So he was a very morally upright man, and he practiced his principles.
Do you believe he's a perfect human being?
Define perfection.
I don't know. I'm asking.
So let me
you.
answer that question first.
Yeah, sure.
So I believe Prophet Muhammad was a true prophet of God. I have a firm conviction in that. And Islam is more satisfying intellectually. It doesn't have any confusing ideas or confusing beliefs like the doctrine of the Trinity or salvation by the cross, or someone has to die on the cross, shed blood for your salvation, someone else dies for your sins. I don't believe in those things. They're not intellectually satisfying. And we don't have to believe that a man who walked the planet was God. Okay, there is only one creator who created everything. And Prophet Muhammad's message is very consistent with previous prophets. Therefore, I'm a Muslim.
My next question.
And this was a very short summary as to why I'm a Muslim.
Yeah.
Are your parents Muslim?
Sorry?
Are your parents Muslim?
Yes.
So, how would I know it's true? You know, like
For all the reasons I just gave you.
Yeah. So,
Hey, should I ask
no,
him
what I
this?
mean
Is
is,
his grandparents?
how do I really believe
Ask him
that he's the same
Ask him
as
that.
coming from
Study.
the old
Study. You
prophet?
can't
Ask
just come
him.
to the park, have a conversation.
Grandparents.
Some people can.
No, but
Some
does he-
people are
I
convinced
know
very
man.
quickly.
Yeah.
Others,
Yeah.
they need more research, they need
Yeah.
more conviction. Go and study. Faith,
but my question
faith and
is-
salvation is not a joke.
No,
It
I'll just
requires
ask a
hard
question.
work.
Do you think
get me?
he
Kufa.
contradicts?
You get me?
any of the previous prophets, though.
Sorry?
Do you think
So was that spread
his
by the
message
sword or by the
was exactly the
mouth?
same as the previous prophets from the Torah?
When we remove
in the future, because he's slandered the Goodall saying that he was a murderer. So
when
I'm
we
gonna get
remove
boxed down and he will
misconceptions,
challenge him on his,
what we are or
on his rhetoric
misrepresentations
about
of the
in
teachings of those
Punjab.
prophets.
So
Can
we'll
I hear
arrange
the
that
man?
later.
Come on, man. Yeah.
When we remove the corruptions, what we are left with is purity. And when we look at the pure messages of Moses, Jesus, David, Abraham, Solomon, other Israelite prophets, then we have Islam. Islam is left. Worship one God alone. How did the previous prophets pray? They prayed like us, or they prayed like us. Moses fell on his face to pray to God. Abraham fell on his face. So did David. They fell on their faces. Literally, the way Muslims prostrate. They were more like Muslims. If you take out the corruptions that are attributed to them, then what we are left with is purity, and Islam is pure. So we believe Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not go against the tradition. He actually upheld same things they did. His law was slightly different because God
That was
sent
going to
down.
be my next question. How come the laws are not the same? If there's one God and he came through Moses, why would he give a different law to a different prophet in a different place?
It is-
I'm not saying he's not a good man, or I'm not saying he's not worshipping God or anything, but I'm just thinking, why would God give two different messages?
No,
If he
no.
gave a message,
The
what I
message
mean
is
by
the same.
that-
The message is the same. How you act upon the message may vary from people to people, from time to time, from prophet to prophet.
But do you believe in Moses? Do you believe in Moses?
Yes,
Do you believe that God gave Moses the commandments?
yes.
So why are the commandments?
And those commandments were not meant to be for the entirety of humanity. Those
I will beg to
commandments
differ.
were
I'll beg to
specifically for the
differ.
Israelites because
It
they were a
was-
particular type of people.
I know,
They
I know,
needed
I
those
know,
commandments.
I know.
But those commandments cannot be applied across the board for all humans for eternity. That's why Islam, we believe, is the final message to humanity.
Oh, I'm not saying you shouldn't believe it.
It is applicable
Yeah.
to all humans.
Well, my
If they
point
want
is-
to practice
yeah,
it.
you get me. My point is, why would a commandment be any different? And secondly, if he's a man of God, if I'm sure he is, but if why would he say Jesus is the Messiah? If
Because
he's a
Jesus
true-
was the Messiah.
How do we determine what the Messiah is? Because that's my issue with Islam
The-
sometimes, is the fact that you agree with the Christians that Jesus is the Messiah. And how do we know who the Messiah is? You have to go to the scriptures and see what the scripture says.
The Messiah is, to put it in simple terms, was a savior who came
No,
to.
not simple. According to the book, according to
Which
the Torah, Tanakh, according to the prophets. So
The Messiah is a savior, according to the book. Yes,
okay.
savior
however you
against
wanna call it.
corruption, savior against
Okay, the Messiah.
destruction of life in this world, savior against all sorts of spiritual and physical problems. So that's what Jesus came for. He rebuked the Pharisees and the Sadducees. He rebuked them against the corruption of the scripture. So that's what the Messiah was supposed to be doing.
No, I'll tell you what I'm saying is, right, Jesus, right, did not fulfill any of the commandments that the Messiah was meant to build a third temple. There's no temple. How can he be the Messiah? I'm not saying these guys weren't good people, but how can he be the Messiah when the temple is not there? All the 12 tribes of Israel are not in Israel. There's no peace in the world. There's no peace on earth. If you go to Isaiah 2 or Isaiah 9 and stuff like that, it talks about the prophet. It talks about when he comes, he's going to fear God. He's not going to be God like the Christians think. He's going to be a man of God. He's going to do a lot of those
So
things.
Isaiah 42 talks about, it's a messianic prophecy, right?
Oh, yeah, some people say that, but I believe it's about the children of Israel. If you beg to differ, it's fine. It might be, it might not be, but that's not what I'm saying.
So what have children of Israel to do with Kedar? Arabia.
Listen, I'm not doubting anything. I mean, you're just talking about a specific
No, but
verse.
it's a very important specific verse.
yeah.
It can contextualize the entire chapter. If it's talking about a location and a people, What do those people have to do with this particular messianic prophecy?
But what has that got to do with the Messiah? See, my issue
No,
is...
I understand your
is
question.
saying,
There are a
can
number of
Jesus-
messiahs in the Old Testament. Are you aware of that?
But not the one that's going to come at the end of the day.
Do you know how many messiahs are in the Old Testament?
I'm sure you know a lot more than I do. But
Yeah,
all I'm
there
saying
are
is-
many messiahs in the
I
Old
know
Testament.
there are, but there's
Jesus
a,
is one of them. He came for a specific task to do
but he
his
did
job
not
as the
fulfill-
Messiah.
That's the thing. He did not fulfill those tasks.
Who determines that?
It's in the Bible. So it's in the.
Who
it's in the Tanakh.
interprets the Bible?
No, it's not interpretation. It says it clear. If you
No,
go
it
to
is
the book of
interpretation.
Ezekiel-
Hold on. You
Let me tell
cannot
you
read
why
the
not.
Bible
No,
and
let
say,
me-
I understand
okay,
it.
Hear me out.
If you don't know anything about
Hear me out.
Israelites,
Hear me out.
their history, their language, their culture,
Hear me out.
what they went through,
Listen to
their
what I'm saying.
experience.
Hear me out. The temple that's going to be the third temple that's going to be built in Israel at the end of days when the Messiah comes is in the book of Ezekiel. Ezekiel describes.
I'm aware of that.
Yeah, hang on a
I'm aware
second.
of that.
Ezekiel describes this temple perfectly. Okay, and he said the prince, which
So
is
which
the
Messiah is this in your
that's
opinion?
the Messiah that's going to come at the end of days that Isaiah was talking about. So I'm
Okay.
not saying Cyrus was.
We believe that Messiah is Jesus who will come near the end of days.
Listen,
He will return.
believe is what does the book say? I go by what does the book say, and I'm not coming.
Do you
from
believe
what I
Jesus is
think.
coming back?
I don't think it's got anything to do with Jesus. What's Jesus got to do with anything?
Is Jesus coming back?
I don't know.
Are you Christian or
I'm not a Christian. No.
you're not a Christian?
No, I'm not a
Christians
Christian.
believe that he's coming back. So do we.
No, but the Christian
We the Muslims
worship-
believe
they
he's coming
worship
back.
The guy, this Jewish guy, as God. You know, that's a Christian.
yeah.
So
But we don't.
that's it.
But
I
we
know you
don't.
don't. But that's why. That's why I'm
We
asking.
believe in the return of the Messiah based upon our revelation. The Quran
know.
tells us that.
I'm not saying it is, but my thing I'm saying is, right, the Messiah described in the Tanakh, it's not Jesus, because that Messiah.
But who determines that?
Because it says it in the book. It says
Okay.
that
It doesn't say he's not Jesus, does it?
No, I'll tell you how we know that is not Jesus, because part of the prophecies were the third temple, and there's going to be
I
peace
got
on
that
earth.
point loud and clear. I'm asking you,
Christians-
why do you say that's not Jesus? Because Jesus is coming back. We believe he's coming back.
It's got nothing to do with Jesus, because there's no peace. The Messiah is meant to bring peace. You know there's no peace. The Messiah
And this is why the Messiah is coming back.
No, listen.
Am I saying
It's not
something
about-
complicated?
You are.
The Messiah is coming back to do
There's
exactly
there's
exactly that, to establish peace when there will be no peace.
I'll tell you what happened.
Yeah.
Because Jesus failed, just like lots of messiahs,
Failed.
he failed
How?
to fulfill those prophecies. Then Christian says, I'll be back. He's going to come back. There's nothing about coming back. The Messiah's going to come and he's going to do it straight away. I don't want to go into, is he going to do it now? And
There's nothing about coming back.
no, he's just going to fulfill the prophecies like that. There's no coming back.
And the prophecies you're talking about actually confirm the truth of Islam and the Quran. Because the Quran and Islam tells you exactly that. What? The Messiah is coming back to establish peace.
No, I think you're missing the point, yeah. Whoever's talked about in that book
Yeah.
says he's going to build the third temple.
Yes, how do we know Jesus will not do that?
Because there's no temple. He's already...
Well, when he comes back, he will build the third temple.
So Islam believes... Wait, my only thing with Islam...